Coming up, I'm going to show you how I make a trapline snare, so stick around. Hey, it's the OCD Hunter bringing you tips, tricks, DIY hacks, and other useful ways that my OCD can help make your life a little bit more simpler. Now, I've got a lot of vermin around here that's causing damage on my property. And what I've decided to do is to set out some snares for them. So this trapline snare I'm going to show you, you could use in an actual trapline. I'm using it for some animals around my property that's causing some destruction. However, me not want to be wasteful, I am going to use their pelts and the meat.
Okay, so I'm measuring some cable that's 7x7, 3/16 inch, and I'm measuring it to 48 inches. And then I'm going to cut it off. Next, I've got a washer, but I'm not exactly what the size is, but I'm going to use a center punch to make 2 marks so I can drill holes that are in line. So I'm going to drill the bottom hole, and then I'm going to drill the top hole. And this would probably be a good time to let you know that this snare is going to be in my yard where I'm not going to have to worry about deer getting into it. So normally you put a deer stop about 8 inches in the wire to keep the wire from closing all the way, so they would be able to walk out. I'm not going to use that because there's no chance they're going to get in there. So after I got the 2 holes in the washer, I want to make it have a 90-degree angle. So I put it in a vise, and using a hammer, I bent it over to try to get pretty much that 90-degree angle. Now with some leftover snare wire, I'm going to use it to clean out the holes and get rid of any burrs. The reason I'm doing this is just so it can move along the wire cleanly, and the trap can operate more efficiently. So now I've turned it around, and I'm going to do the other side. And this wire is pretty abrasive, so it does a pretty good job of cleaning out the holes of any burrs and preparing the washer to be the lock for the snare. So we'll look at this and you can see how well it worked. And I've got to apologize, I think I'm getting a cold, so my voice is pretty rough on this video. But so next I got aluminum stop that's 3/16 of an inch. I'm going to put one end in, and I don't have one of the nice fancy tools that you crimp it with, so I'm just going to use the vise to crimp it. It really doesn't matter what it looks like, it just needs to operate for me. But once I get it out and it's crimped, I'll show you what that looks like. So the next step, what I want to do is I want to find which way the cable has its natural curve. Just like a hose or a rope, it wants to coil a certain way. And once I find that, I'm going to go back just a slight bit from the aluminum cap and bend it backwards off of that natural bend. And this is going to be the area where I'm going to put the washer to get to. That's going to be the lock, and this will help operate the lock system around the snare to tighten it. So now I'm putting the washer in, and you want to make sure that the cable's coming out of the V side. And to get the cable to work just a little bit better, I'm going to shape the cable using the handle of the vise. And what that does is it gives me a shape like a shepherd's hook. And what it does is it allows, instead of the animal putting its head into the snare and then having, the weight of the animal to pull the thing closed, it actually has a little bit of life on its own, and it just shoots down because it follows that shepherd's hook shape. So I'll show you there how it works. Next, I'm just going to close off the snare. I got two 3/16 inch ferrules and a hook. So I got to put both the ferrules on the cable, and then I'll run the cable through the hook, and I'm going to use this as a swivel. Now, a lot of times these snares can get damaged and they're not reusable. So if that's the case, this hook that I'm using for the swivel can be reused, so I'll just cut the cable and reuse it. But once again, I'm going to use the vise to secure the ferrule down, and then I'm going to place the other ferrule up on the end of the cable. And the reason I'm doing two is just to give it a little bit more extra security. So with that, that's pretty much how you build the snare. After I get this out, I'll show you exactly what's going on. So here's the swivel in case the animal starts to turn. And then you can load the snare by pulling out the lock. And once you set it up, when I put my hand in here, barely touching it, you can see how it engages.
Well, there you go. That's how I build a trapline snare. I hope that this video helped you out in some way. I'm the OCD Hunter, and I hope that my continual painstaking practice of changing, fixing, and improving on ideas will help you out in your endeavors. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell next to the subscribe button to get notified of new videos. Comments are always welcome.